this meeting to order. And,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
We're off. I'm embarrassed to ask this, but did we have minutes from the last meeting?
So
I
they
did-
weren't in the packet to approve.
They weren't in the packet to approve. They were online, yes. I did glance at them, but we should have a motion to accept them. Would you like to postpone that to our next meeting, or,
If we don't have it in front of them, we'll postpone it.
okay,
Put it on the agenda for next time, approval of minutes.
very good.
So we had discussed ground rules last time, and I have revised them to incorporate your name, Mike.
Okay.
And there are 4 copies which I assigned, if I could just get back 1 or 2.
Sure.
Thank you. So then I think the next item on our agenda for tonight's meeting was to exchange proposals. And the board, I hope I have enough copies, has written proposals. Actually, I have one more if they're not enough.
Oh, it's plenty of big office up there.
So I can give you a brief description of what's in our proposals, and then we can receive yours, and then what I suggest is that maybe both sides will caucus and then see if we have any questions about anything, and that pretty much would be the agenda for tonight. Okay.
Steve, if we could just put on that, maybe getting some new dates.
Yep.
This is our,
Right.
I think we only have one additional date right now, the
December 12th.
December 12th.
Well, September
Right, so
12th.
that's the next date after that we should set.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. Okay. One thing that's just mentioned at the beginning, and actually I have not double-checked this, apparently the Career Development Center likes to go by the name Southwest Vermont Career Development Center, as opposed to what I think might be its official title, which is in the current contract, which is Southwest Vermont Regional Technical School District. And if the CDC wants to be called the CDC, there's certainly no problem with making that name change, and that appears at a number of different places throughout the contract. But I don't look at that as a big deal. The dues reduction, what we're pointing out here is, as the district, we will start deducting dues when we receive an executed form. And once we receive that, then we will start the dues deductions. The form itself says that we're going to start dues deductions in October 15th, and we don't always necessarily get forms by that date. Plus, if people are hired mid-year, there are different times when that happens. And so we think probably exhibit Appendix D needs to have the specific date removed from it. And just when we get the form, we'll start the dues deductions. Absence due to illness, injury, and childbirth. This will look familiar to those of you who participated in the last contract negotiation. What has happened over time with the teacher collective bargaining agreement is that different provisions have been added at different negotiation points. Federal law, such as FMLA, is in play and has been amended from time to time. The state of Vermont has adopted certain laws that relate to parental leave and sick leave. The result is that there are many provisions throughout the contract that deal with the general topic of being absent because of illness, injury, childbirth, etc. What we're trying to do is really go through those and make sure that they're all consistent with one another. This is an area where HR finds there is confusion. I believe that teachers probably find that there's confusion in trying to understand how all of this works together. And so the goal here is to try to end up with some language that we all understand as to how it works and provide these benefits in a fair way. One of the elements of that is also coordinating sick leave with the long-term disability insurance that the district has been purchasing for employees. And the long-term disability insurance has a 180-day disqualification period. So you have the onset of the illness or the injury. For 180 days, you're not eligible to begin to draw disability payments. But that 180 days is calendar days, not school days. And in this contract, you've got that you can accumulate sick leave up to 180 school days. But, and I wasn't around when that was negotiated, but what I've seen in other contracts was the thought that you needed 180 days to satisfy the eligibility requirements for long-term disability. But that's not accurate. You need your sick leave days to cover a 180-day calendar period. Probably 120 days more than does it. And that's why we're looking at reducing that. You know, plus if your illness or injury begins during the summer months, you might in fact start school, or school may start and you're already 60 days into that 180-day period because it's all calendar days. So that's, we're looking at reducing that sick leave accumulation. I'll let you, look at this. As I say, if you were involved in the last contract negotiation, you've seen this language. Some of what appears underlined, for instance, if you look at the top of page 2, it's not new language, it's just this section appeared in a different section in the contract and we're just moving it in here because it seems to make more sense there. Subsection 5, you can see in a new section consistent with Article 22. and Article 22 deals with workers' compensation. So those were not intended to be changing substantive provisions as much as just reorganizing this language so that it's clearer. Absence due to 10.4, there is a proposal here to reduce the time period before which you need to provide medical documentation, for a reason for being absent, from 5 days to 3 days. Okay. Uh, 10.6, and much of what follows there is implementing with some specific language, benefits that are afforded under the Family Medical Leave Act. 10.7 similarly. 10.8, it's simply restating the Family Medical Leave Act and Vermont Leave Act. Again, that's not new language, it's just moved from elsewhere in the contract. And then you can see there are a number of sections that are then deleted. That's in most cases they were moved to a different section, so it's not that they're being.
Steve, has any of the language changed, or is that for page 3, page 4, all those underlined just because they're moving, or is there new language in there?
If it does not have a note, for instance, you can see on page 4, 10.7 subparagraph 3.
Yep.
Moved from section 11.5. And that one subsection is not new language, it was just moved, okay?
Page 3, family leave, family medical leave, page 3 at the bottom.
But that doesn't say it moved, that says
It's a new section.
Right. So if it says moved underneath it, it's just moved. If it doesn't say moved, it's new language. Right, good,
Yep.
thank you.
And then where language is deleted, again, if you look on page 5, you can see where it was moved. It said, for instance, a subparagraph 2 under 11 point, or it's, anyway, the big section right in the middle that is deleted, you can see that it says move to section 10.7, so just reorganized. Okay? On page 8, insurance benefits. The major change here is that eligibility for benefits begins at 30 hours per week, under contract to work at least 30 hours per week. Actually don't have right now the number of teachers potentially impacted by that. I'll find out about that. Okay. That's consistent with what is provided in the various health benefit statutes that have been enacted recently. Okay. 16.2, health insurance, the existing provision is being completely deleted, and what then follows is the new health insurance benefit that will be provided. There are 3 different time periods addressed in this contract because of the way that health insurance is going to change, and we're looking at I didn't state it at the beginning, a 2-year contract. The first year, next year, for the first 6 months of the year, everything would continue very much as it is right now. The plans that you would be eligible to enroll in are the dual option plans, the Comp C plan. Those of you who have been, actually, I don't have it in here, I guess, are there is anybody in JY here?
Anybody?
In JY? Health insurance here?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so I think this, and
Just all the teachers are in the dual.
yeah. And then the dollar amounts that are here, the 3612, 7101, that's exactly what would be paid for that 6-month period right now. So there's, by the district, so that employees will continue to be responsible for their basically 20% over those dollar amounts for that first period of July 1, and you stay with the current plan. To say that first 6 months is essentially no change from exactly what exists right now. And there was no increase in premium, for those VHI plans for that period. January 1, 2018, the existing plans go away, and we're obligated to offer all 4 of the VHI plans that become available. And those are identified on page 9, the platinum, the gold CDHP, and the silver CDHP. And in accordance with the guidance from VHI, employees get to choose which plan they will enroll in of those 4 plans. Those are the 4 plans that will be available. And what you can see is that during the second half of FY18, that January through June 2018 time period, the boards will continue paying exactly the same amount of money that they paid in the first 6 months. And the way this is proposed is that is money that will be used to provide premium reimbursement for employees who sign up in various plans. If you sign up in a plan that is HSA compatible, any money that is not spent on premium would be deposited into your HSA account. And we can get some, we'll provide when we take that up as a bargaining topic, some explanations of how that would work. And then there's a third time period that begins on the bottom of page 9. And this is for all of FY19 and the dollar amounts that the board would contribute toward premium or toward premium reimbursement, or if you're in an HSA eligible plan, excess amounts would be contributed to the HSA account for FY19.
Steve, where did the dollar amounts come from? I know you're saying what it is right now, but going forward.
This reflects no increase.
Oh.
So you basically double. In other words,
So you're thinking there's not going to be any increase, you're proposing no increase in health insurance from where we are now for 2 years?
correct. Now, and understand, there was no increase in premium
Right.
from VHI for FY18.
For this year.
Okay, for the first 6 months.
Right.
Okay? And we're carrying that forward an additional year, that same contribution. Another thing that happens with the new plans that come into effect is there are what are called rate tiers in these plans, you commonly understand them to be a single-person plan, a two-person plan, or a family plan. And those are called rate tiers. Nothing really changes in the first 6 months of FY18 because we're still with the same old VHI plans and the same rate tiers. Beginning January 1, 2018, there become 4 available rate tiers. Single person, two-person, parent and child or children, it doesn't matter how many children, and then a family rate tier. With the introduction of the parent-children plan, for one thing, that works with a single parent who, right now, if a single parent has 2 children, they have to take a family plan. But a single parent with 2 children, once this new tier comes into effect, can take the parent-children plan. It's cheaper than a 2-person plan. The premium cost for that is about $1,000 less than the premium for a 2-person plan. Okay. But the other thing that happens, and that we're looking at, is in terms of coverage for spouses. In the private sector, most private employers, even large private employers, have pretty much eliminated across the board coverage for spouses. Public employers outside the state of Vermont are also doing that. Okay? What we're looking at in this proposal is that if your spouse has access to employer-provided health insurance, then you would not be eligible for enrollment in the school's health insurance program. Your spouse needs to take advantage of that employer-provided health insurance. If your spouse does not have access to employer-provided health insurance, then you would be eligible to enroll in the school district insurance. And so that we're looking at, and with this, that, all employees, whether we're employing them or somebody else is employing them, and they're the spouse of someone here, who have access to employer-provided health insurance would take advantage of that insurance. Okay? And so it could be a situation where if you're a family of 2 children, the employee here and the children could all be enrolled here under the parent-child plan. And the spouse who has access to other employer-provided health insurance would enroll with that employer's health insurance. And everyone would retain the insurance. In terms of enrolling children, one of the things that we note here is, as you know, right now, you can carry children on your health insurance up to age 26. We're putting in, and these are children who are not necessarily legal dependents. I mean, they may not even be living with you. They may be living someplace else. And what we're looking at is if your child is employed and has access to employer-provided health insurance, then your child would need to access that insurance. If your child does not have access to that employer-provided health insurance, then they could be covered under your plan. Okay. I think those are the major components of this. The last section that appears on page 10, underlined, is the statement that if you enroll in an HSA compatible plan and you establish an HSA, any of the additional amounts that we're agreeing to reimburse toward premium, we would put in the HSA account. Dental insurance, we're looking at providing for an employee contribution toward dental insurance, 80% of the dental insurance. One thing that is significant in terms of this is that with the plans that will become effective January 1, 2018, they all provide pediatric dental at no additional cost. It's included in the premium cost of the plan. And that's pediatric for purposes of this is up to age 26. So, for instance, if right now you are purchasing a family dental plan, once January 1, 2018, if you have children who are under age 26, they would be eligible for the health insurance benefit, the dental insurance benefit that is available under the plan, which is substantially the same as the Delta dental insurance coverage that you actually purchase in terms of the annual limits and things like that. You know, 1 free cleaning a year or 2 free cleanings a year and all of that. Okay. Life insurance, we're looking at having an employee contribution to the cost of life insurance of 80%. Long-term disability insurance, we're looking at an employee contribution of 80%. Or employee contribution. Employer payment is 80%, employee contribution of 20% on all of those, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay. 16.6 VHI rebates, there haven't been any in many years, and there certainly are not going to be any going forward. Insurance committee, you know, that goes back quite a ways. I don't know that there has ever really been one, but we're looking at this point not having that. Article 23, copies of agenda and meeting minutes. Those are routinely posted on the district's website. And so we're looking at really not having a need to provide individual copies at this point. You don't have to go anywhere to access it. You just go to the SVSU website and you can get copies of all the meeting minutes and all the meeting agendas. And the evaluation provision, Article 25, as Norm, I'm certain, will recall, this is really an association committee, and we really don't see a need for this to be in the contract. You can do this regardless of whether it's in the contract. And the superintendent, we don't think it is appropriate for the superintendent to be having any involvement in this. This is sort of something voluntary between an individual employee and the association to provide assistance to an employee, and we certainly support efforts in that regard, but we look at that as you don't need this in the contract to accomplish that. Assignments, vacancies, and promotions, 28.3. All of that, again, is routinely posted on the websites, so we don't see that we ought to have, a separate requirement for, separate notification. That information is readily available. Okay. Hours and duties. We're proposing an increase in the workday from 7.5 to 8 hours. Outside the state, school districts are moving in that direction. But what you see, we put in here related provisions. There are a number of provisions in the contract which reduce the amount of time that may be available by teachers to be doing the work of, working with students and the work that the school board is looking for. What we're really trying to do is look at ways to efficiently utilize the workday to maximize the time that is provided to students providing direct educational services. And that is a real goal. And those of you who were involved in 2 or 3 contract negotiations before know that this is something that the boards have been looking at consistently as an important issue to address educational outcomes. Salaries, we don't have a specific salary proposal at this point. We're working on that, and we'll have that for you next time. Subparagraph B was a transitional provision which is no longer necessary. So we're just taking that out. 30.4 on pay periods. And again, this is not something that's new. This is something that was looked at last time. We're looking at trying to improve the efficiency of, handling payroll. Right now, teachers can sign up for one of 2 different pay options. And what we're really looking at is we want to pay people, twice a month, every month, so that they're getting, 24 pay periods through a year, and everybody is on the same cycle. This is something that could only be implemented if the support staff also wanted to do this, because we're not going to operate 2 different payroll arrangements, one for support staff and one for teachers. And then finally, the contract duration of 2 years.
Is that mainly based on health insurance, like thoughts, or is that?
There's certainly that aspect of it, because I will say that there are some contracts I'm working with that are going for 3 years, although with what has been suggested may occur with the upcoming Congress, some folks are maybe not as comfortable as to where health insurance may be, 3 years from now as opposed to 2 years out. And, I think most of us had hoped that we were going into this contract negotiation and that the major structure of the delivery of health insurance would have settled down, and we would know where we were going, and it, let's say, less clear. And so, and then it also then makes it more difficult to look at a salary proposal that 3rd year out, as opposed to 2 years out with that uncertainty. But I will say, from the board's perspective, we're not necessarily adverse to talking about a 3-year contract. But
Does anybody, Norm, anything?
No, not at the moment.
So I think, do you want us to? Yep. Us to go now? So I think for us, one of the things that we're still kind of clarifying and sorting is, some of the language that we have. And I know that we had 2 weeks to kind of get the proposal. I think our proposal tonight and some of the stuff and where we're gonna be in 2 weeks, there may be some like adjustments. And I know you guys are at the same point with as far as the salary goes, and as far as, one thing that I recognize that we didn't bring up and was one of the appendixes. I think Tim Brown emailed
Yes.
somebody in regards to that. So that's not a part of our,
That's
like-
right. That would be a budgetary concern. I don't think it
Right.
really has to be incorporated in the contract.
okay, because
It
I
isn't
know
now.
that came through, and I mean, a lot of that has to do
Right.
with like the
Right.
salary structure and everything, as far as that goes. So, Norm, did you have, like, copies for them that we want to, I know we had talked about it, and I think we can show, and then adjust, and we're free to like, let you know where we're at, and then probably give another, like, cleaned up version on 2 weeks from today. I mean, your salary stuff, is that, you won't be ready with that for 2 weeks from now? Or is that, are you gonna have something for 2 weeks from now?
We're hoping.
We're hoping to have
Okay.
something ready in 2 weeks.
Okay.
We will also, we have, the administration is working on some proposals that we will probably bring to you next week. Some things we want to do a little more research on before we incorporate them in our final proposal.
So one of the things that I think that we can do is talk about some of the sections we're looking to open up and discuss, and then, continue moving forward with some of the language that we're, as a group, trying to clean up. And we'll have like cleaner language with that in 2 weeks, time. Does that make sense to everybody, to share the initial and then clean up and then make adjustments going forward? Do we have copies for?
I don't. I just, I made up the draft and then, but it needs to be finalized before we give it to
No, I
them.
think we just, Norm's.
Did you modify it?
No.
Oh, you
No,
have?
nothing.
Okay.
I think just the big ideas.
Yeah, I think.
And then give them that clean copy.
Yeah.
I want to be sure that proposal is inclusive of what we're interested in, coverage and salaries. That's it.
Is that okay, Norm?
Pardon?
You just give out the big ideas,
Yeah.
nothing in writing.
I think if you want to just talk about subjects,
Yeah, that's it, that's what we
and
want.
then we'll give a final, written proposal on all the issues at the next meeting. It's a work in progress, but we haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
So there's two, it's up to, so do we want to have them follow along, or do you want to just propose, like, go through item, like section numbers of the proposal? What do you suggest, Norm?
Oh, I just suggested that, because I haven't been a part of all of the meetings, that maybe the committee can talk about those issues that it sees as key issues in the negotiations. There may be some language changes also, but obviously there'll be association proposals on health insurance, which we all recognize as a complicated issue. But thank you for setting out your ideas. We'll follow up with that.
So the proposal that we have here, and I've written on mine, is, as we said, it's a, work in progress as we're going through. Do you want us to identify sections that we're looking to address? Would you, Tim?
I would just assume wait until we have their proposals. rather than-
Well, I'd at least like to
Sure.
get a
Okay.
a list of sections and just generally what you're thinking about.
So we can go through the language that we're looking at. We're looking to open up Article 6.9, which is the association privileges.
And I think that's it, just state that.
Okay, so that is a new section. This is not a 6.9 in the current contract.
Go through 6.8 in the contract.
So adding a new section to the language, is that correct, Norm? 6.9.
Yeah, there isn't a current 6.9.
Dealing with association dues, and so it's and assessments for the year. So it's a new part, is like adding a section there.
Yep.
Opening up 10.4. And I think that's on your guys' proposal as well, talking about sick days, personal days, and how that and how those play out. So,
Yep.
opening up 11.1,
Which is also in here.
which is the leave of absence and the Family Medical Leave Act, and kind of talk. Right, right. And then 16.2, which is our health insurance proposal. And we're still basing ours off of percentages. So we'll give you. Article 16.5, which is the long-term disability. I think you guys also had. Article 19.
So what are you looking
sorry.
at under 16.5, reducing the?
Reducing the days, yeah.
Okay.
Article 19, 19.2. And changing that notification date for 19.2.
Yeah.
21.2. And that's dealing with tuition and national board certification proposal. Then 22.3,
That's new.
is a new, it's new language.
Say 22.3?
22.3, yep. And then,
Am I allowed to ask what?
No.
it's new language, based on, student, it's like a conduct, piece.
This would establish a protocol for teachers who have suffered attacks from students.
Okay, thank you. And then 26.12, which is a new section. It just talks about reimbursement. It's just it's a laid off reimbursement, new language, kind of, I think that is correct.
Yep.
And then 29.6, this kind of, I don't know, did you guys kind of, did you have 29.6?
Yeah.
With the, no, you guys, but it is in addressing ongoing professional development days. 29.6. And we want to clean up the elementary language in 29.26. So it's in it's in the elementary school provisions. And then another language cleanup in 29.10 in terms of after-school time. Just a couple more. We had language in the CDC, or Southwest Vermont Regional Technical School, according to this here, 29.32, which would deal with, is that reimbursement for extra courses? Two more, a couple more. 31.8, which again is just going to be a language, just clarifying head teacher, team leader. Then the last two, we're still working on the Appendix A. Salary bit as well. We will have something for you for the next time. And then Appendix B, we are proposing an adjustment to the hourly rate of pay. For summer work. Is there anything that I omitted?
It might be smart if we send our finished proposals to them electronically before the next meeting.
Yep.
Save some time, make it a little more productive.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you know, I know you said you had to clean up this year, but you sent it electronically, even what you just went over tonight.
I'll send them to the superintendent or to Ed, and then
They'll distribute.
they can circulate. If that makes sense, it seems to me that it will make the next meeting a little bit more productive.
Yeah, my writing skills are not
Okay.
as fast enough to keep up with everything that was said.
Okay.
Right.
So do we want to take a couple minutes and try to pick another date right now?
That's a good idea.
No, we said it.
So the next one is the 12th, but then the one after that is supposed to be the 26th. That's something like that.
Just the numbers.
Does January 9th, is that Monday, January 9th? I know that's really the first Monday of the month, because the second is counting as the first. I
I'm
think,
not
as
showing
a- as a
any other board meetings that night. So there could be some budget. but
Anybody
not
have trouble with
scheduling.
the 9th, January?
It's quite a ways away, though.
4 o'clock?
January 9th, 4 o'clock. So we'll see you on December 12th.
It's my understanding that at this next meeting, it'll be our final opportunity to exchange proposals.
Correct.
And once that is done, and also your proposals will be in a concrete form that would correspond with ours, and we certainly will try to get our salary proposal to you at that time.
January 9th is the second Monday of the month. Is that when the CDC meets their board? So
No,
this
it's the
room-
third.
Third?
Yeah,
Okay,
third.
then we'll double check that this room is available.
Anybody have any questions?
Well, the question I have is, on the 12th, we're actually going to be hopefully presenting what we expect for salary adjustments, and we're looking for proposals that'll be written that we can basically look at the same.
So the plan is, I think, that what Norm was saying was we'll clean up what I've written on here, and he'll email that out to you guys, but probably at some point, early next week. Like, so you have it before the 12th. It won't be on the 11th of December, so that you can have that in writing to go over, and then we'll have adjustments for the 12th. So we'll get that to you guys.
Do you know what length of contract you're looking at right now?
No.
I think we were, did you make a decision?
We hadn't. I mean, I think we were going in.
If you make the terms right, you know,
You said that before, Norm.
my position hasn't changed. Now, I can't speak for the
If you agree
committee.
to our terms, we'll...
I can't speak for the committee, but if you can play your cards right, you can get a 2.5-year contract.
Oh, there you go. That's efficient.
But I do think, I mean, we, at least looking at it from what we've been doing here of stumbling around and extending contracts to try to get to a position where we could actually deal with the health insurance problem, I think that if we don't all go nuts, we'll be at least interested in looking at more than a 1-year contract. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen in health insurance after January 20th, so.
We don't.
But I'm not sure that anything that, it seems to me that you can withdraw or you can repeal and replace Obamacare and not do a heck of a lot to the VHI plan that, as I understand, is a contract between VHI and whoever buys it. I don't think that's, I don't see that the repeal and replace Obamacare is going to substantially improve it, but it might, you know.
No, I agree. I think the short-term impact will be more in the exchanges than it will be
Yeah, that's where I think
in the
we'll
large
find a lot
employer
of
plans, which is basically what we are, you know. And that's why I was looking, 2 years, possibly even 3.
Well, but I think, I guess our answer is we're flexible. We can't survive and bargain a new contract every year. Because first of all, you'll get really annoyed with us and we'll get really annoyed with you. So that's not a good thing, right, Tim?
We don't want that.
Tim, we haven't survived, we haven't succeeded on our universal health care yet, so we still have to talk about it
We're
here.
still working on it, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that really makes any sense.
Well, then we wouldn't have to, think how quick this negotiations would be if health insurance wasn't on
Wasn't on
the
the
table.
table, exactly.
That's true. Good.
It'd be a lot easier.
All right.
Okay.
Now I'll keep my mouth shut.
Any other questions?
No?
See you on the 12th.
Let's meet back in our room for a minute, if we could. please.
A minute? Okay.
Thank you all.
We'll get a second.
We'll make a motion, accept the motion to close the meeting. Any objections? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Do you want to